and I had joined post MD there in Nirmal Hospital, and considering myself lucky to be learning something there. So I was very happy to be back with the Nirmal background, and let's talk something about one of the most important topic which we all learn in neonatology. Though we learn more of the gadgets, we learn more of the critical things, but one of the very basic thing which is often left with not much of the ideas or clarity at times, because this is very fundamental and basic topic we need to learn. So let's go with the today's topic. My topic will be on breastfeeding made easy. So why do we need to learn breastfeeding, if, especially if we know that this is one of the basic instincts humans have ever since the starting of the world, and we know that we have all evolved over the period of time, but we have learned that most of us have forgotten what we were doing very well when we were animals or primates or just mammals. Then the Homo sapiens species, as it forwarded, gradually learned many things which led to building of cities and civilizations, but forgot the basic art and basic instinct which was there as an animal. Every time we see a newborn, every time we hear that a newborn has given came to the world, the relatives and the family members always tell the mother that this is just a natural instinct. Everyone has performed, and you are also likely to perform very well. That's a good thing that we are remarking positively. But the problem here is that despite of the fact that it is a natural instinct, most mothers are
स्टीरॉइड लगाडो अनि एंटी फंगल नहीं लगाडो
हाँ जी
એ તો આગળ આપી છે આ તારી છે તે
I think Kamlesh bhai no mic on રહી ગયો છે. Okay, so this particular art is gradually been vanishing throughout, and despite of the fact that this has been a natural instinct every mammal has learned to do, we, as we are gradually calling ourselves more socialized and more modern, we are actually not fulfilling our need or the need of our newborns, and we are not performing our breastfeeding. So what should be done? This is something what I got from the NFHS data, which are published every year. So NFHS data on this particular thing says very remarkable things. Like for example, if you see this particular bar chart, the blue one are NFHS 3 and red one are NFHS 4 data. So if we see our state of Gujarat, how it is performing in terms of initiation of breastfeeding within first hour of life, meaning after delivery, how much mothers have been given a chance to breastfeed, and they breastfeed within first hour of life. So we see that these are merely 50%. So 50% of newborns are on their own for survival, are on their own for getting all the nonsense things which we recommend not to be given. So that's where we need to improve upon. Second thing, if we see the continuation of breastfeeding, where do we stand? We say that exclusive breastfeeding has to be performed for first 6 months of life, and we say every little rules and regulations to these mothers. But what do we end up finally? We end up somewhere here in our state of Gujarat. I'm not focusing on other states' data because that's not our primary responsibility. Let's look at our state's data. That is 55.8 only. Now, if it is 55.8 only, that means within 6 months only, those 50% will go away and take another routes. This route may be cow's milk, this may be a buffalo milk, any other animal milk, a formula milk, or anything else, which might be leading to growth failures and development of various diseases in these infants. So that has to be prevented. That has to be prevented, we all know. But how? That's the question. So Everyone expects everything from a newborn's mom right from the day one. She should be knowing how to feed the child. She should be knowing how to bathe the child. She should be knowing how to take care of the child. But the question is, the mom says, I don't know. And why? She should know. Because we do not discuss it anywhere. We do not discuss it in schools. We do not discuss in college. We do not discuss it even after marriages. And we feel shame to discuss all these things on an open platform or a public platform. And we believe that most of these newborns' mom will have their own knowledge by chatting with the elder one within the house. Now, see the condition. The family having the older grandmom or the somebody else who is there, or the mother-in-law, might have given a birth to a child 30 or 40 years before. So there is no question that she might be remembering all the aspects of those. She might not be remembering all the problems she faced and how did she resolve. So there are issues with breastfeeding, and we know that every day it keeps on changing. Now, let me ask very outfrontly that do we see any matrimonial biodata confirming that a girl is having experience of raising 2 kids successfully? Well, you may say that's just a joke. Yes, it's a joke. But if suppose some girl is having such an experience, do we like to marry her? Absolutely not. So the point here is that no girl is ever having experience prior to marriage. Neither she is having even after getting a birth of a baby. So how does she know? And that's the first point where we need to improve upon: education, education, and education of breastfeeding. No matter how do we look, no matter how do we take care of this, but educating a to-be mom is utmost priority, because once the delivery occurs, you are left with nothing but the mercy of God. So let's understand how to breastfeed in the most easiest way possible. Many of the aspects of this particular talk might be just basic revisions and might be some advanced part also. So let us see them one by one. So this particular talk will be divided into 3 segments where we need the breastfeeding to be continued. The first foremost part is pregnancy, then the newborn, and then first 6 months of life. Now, how do you perform that? Let's see. First most important part is antenatal care. The 9 months of this pregnancy are very vital. This is the time where you need to prepare the mom for the future breastfeeding. Most important advice is, as we give commonly in our pregnancy part, to rest, to get a good balanced diet, and to relax are as good as for any mother to do successful breastfeeding also. So if a mom is taking adequate rest and diet, she is going to have good breastfeeding in the later period of life. And if she is able to rest well, relax well, there is no stress on the mom, then also in the postnatal phase, she is going to secrete well. The most important part of this particular antenatal period is breast examination. We have seen that in one of the studies that nearly 85 to 89% of moms were not being examined for their breast. So when the delivery occurred, they were found with the abnormalities of the nipple. Commonly we encounter the problems of inverted nipple. We all know that the nipples can be divided into 3 different parts, 3 different types of nipple, I mean to say. The first is the common normal nipple, where the nipple is actually projected one, like what we see here in a patient's photograph of after treatment. The second one being a flat nipple, where the nipple lies almost at the level of areola. While the third one is where the nipple is actually buried or dipped in the areolar part. So that is known as inverted nipple, And this inverted nipple creates problem in postnatal life if there is persistence of one such. But with the grace of God, we need to know that there are two hormones which take place into pregnancy part, estrogen and progesterone. Under the effect of this, the glandular structure of the breast, as well as the supporting tissue and the fat deposition in the breast, keep on increasing. Because of that, the breast size and shape also change. Most breasts usually enlarge and develop a globular shape. When you develop a globular shape, naturally all those pits or the inverted parts will become flat or become projected one as the pregnancy advances. And that helps out to all these moms by means of that this particular moms will not have much of a chance of inverted nipple. The inverted nipple still persists within 1 to 3% of those moms who have been found to have inverted nipple before the pregnancy or before the delivery of the baby. Though it looks a very small number, but 3% may lead to a lot of problem because we have to do some corrective action in these things. We often know that syringing them and doing other things will be helpful, but application of breast shell and detection of those things in the antenatal part will provide much more dividend to us in a successful breastfeeding when we detect it early. So the whole idea is to detect inverted nipple within the antenatal phase. Now let us go with the newborn part of breastfeeding. The baby has been delivered. 3 things has to be go must. Number 1 is breast crawl. Now, the breast crawl has been defined as the crawling of an infant when left just after delivery on mother's abdomen. The baby or the infant searches for the breast and attaches to mom's breast and starts feeding. That's what is known as breast crawl. Here the reference for the breast or how do the baby finds a breast is dependent upon the smell. The baby is having the smell of the amniotic fluid as a reference within their hands, which is actually the body fluid in true sense. And the milk secreted is also a body fluid in true sense. So matching to both these smells, baby gradually crawls forward towards mother's breast. We should not be allowing any pre-lactal feeds. We should not be doing any other external activities, but we should start breastfeeding as early as possible. So that's where we need to see these things. Now let us see a video of a breast crawl. So here we are going to see one of the video of breast crawl.
Por instinto, sé que el único alimento que necesito es la leche materna. Aliméntame solo con ella los primeros 6 meses de mi vida. Cuida mi salud y alimentación. Así asegurarás no solo mi presente, sino también mi futuro.
मौलिक भाई वो उसमें विंडो इन विंडो दिख रहा था.
Just a minute, please. Just a moment, I will just shift the screen so it will be easier for you and it will be easy to view. Okay, so we'll be going back.
Okay, come here. Come here.
So this is a breast crawl where the infant is gradually crawling forward to find the breast he finds the breast and gradually he attaches. This is one of the most soothing sight for any neonatologist or any doctor who is performing a delivering and helping the baby to breastfeed. This is one of the most fundamental part which has been said to be done by an infant as a basic instinct, and as we go forward we come across that these babies further gradually successfully breastfeed. Now let us move forward and see one of the very basic idea of how to attach to a breast and how to hold such baby for breastfeeding. This is very much fundamental because unless a mom is able to do such thing, she will not be able to successfully breastfeed or sustain the breastfeed. So let us see one of the video for this.
In this video, we shall learn about the optimal positioning and attachment while breastfeeding a newborn baby. Let us now try and understand the key points of positioning and attachment. The 4 key points in proper positioning are: the baby's head is in line with the body, the baby's whole body is well supported, the baby is turned towards the mother, and the baby's abdomen is touching the mother's abdomen. Now, have a look at this baby's breastfeeding. Is this baby well positioned? The baby's head is in line with the body, the baby's whole body is well supported, the baby is turned towards the mother, and the baby's abdomen is touching the mother's abdomen. So, this baby is well positioned. Now, look at this baby. The baby's head is not in line with the body, the baby's whole body is not well supported, the baby is turned towards the mother, and the baby's abdomen is not touching the mother's abdomen. So, this baby is not well positioned. Having understood about good positioning, now let us try and understand good attachment. The 4 key points of good attachment are: the baby's mouth is wide open, most of the areola is visible above the baby's mouth than below it, the baby's lower lip is turned outwards, and the baby's chin is touching the breast. Now, have a look at this baby's breastfeeding. Is this baby attached well to the breast? The baby's mouth is wide open. Most of the areola is visible above the baby's mouth than below it. The baby's lower lip is turned outwards, and the baby's chin is touching the breast. So, this baby is well attached. Now, have a look at this baby's breastfeeding. The baby's mouth is not wide open. The areola is visible, and the baby is sucking on the nipple. The lower lip is turned inwards, so this baby is not well attached.
Bring your baby's nose directly opposite the nipple. Then let her head tip back a little so that her top lip can brush against your nipple. This should help her open her mouth. When her mouth is open wide, bring her to the breast with her head tilted back and chin leading. Your baby can then take in a large mouthful of breast, not just the nipple. The breast will be drawn deep into her mouth, so your nipple will go all the way back to the soft part of her mouth. Your baby will be able to take all the milk she needs, and you won't get sore.
So that was the video on breastfeeding made by NICU at AIIMS, and I used with permission for teaching only. This video is available in public domain on YouTube, and everyone can see that later if they want to. So let us move forward with this particular knowledge of how to hold the baby, how to attach the baby to the breast, and how to start attaching this baby, particularly whatever the basic we have learned out of it. So that thing has been taken. Now, most often we have seen that relatives are often asking that they need to give pre-lactal feeds. So we need to understand that why we say no to pre-lactal feeds prior to breastfeeding. We are not saying it no only because we are worried about the sepsis or infection or the ingredients of a particular prelactal feed, but we are worried about something else. And that something else is establishment of the hormonal cycles of these important hormonal cycles for breastfeeding, the cycles of prolactin and oxytocin. If we allow them to give a prelactal feeds, the baby will take prelactal feeds and will be satiated. We all know that the first 2 hours of life are very much important. And these first 2 hours of life, the baby are usually active. And if we allow them to suckle the breast, they will suckle it very enthusiastically and easily. But if we go and check these babies after 2 hours, they are not that active. They are often sleepy and remain sleepy throughout the first 24 to 48 hours. So naturally, these first 2 hours of activity need to be utilized without fail for breastfeeding establishment. And if we give prelactal feeds, इंसान का बच्चा है तो फिर माणस मात्र आळस ने पात्र ए बधाने लागू पड़शे. Meaning to say that if you are going to give easier option to even a newborn, he is going to take up that easy option rather than to utilize or do some work for getting the breastfeeding. So let us not go for prelactal feeds, but go for baby to suckle the breast as early as possible. We all know that there are 2 hormones involved in the lactation. The prolactin is the milk producer hormone, while the oxytocin is usually the milk ejection hormone. Meaning to say that prolactin leads to development or the secretion of the milk within the, or the collection of breast milk within the gland, and that milk is then liberated or ejected out of the gland by the help of oxytocin. We need to remember that both these hormones are produced with the help of hypothalamus in the posterior pituitary, and these hormones are released only when there is a reflex arc establishment which starts and begins with the baby sucking the breast. The receptors or the touch receptors at nipple and areola sends the signal to the pituitary, and in response the pituitary releases these hormones in the blood, and that hormones reach to breast to perform their own duties. So if we want to establish the breastfeeding earliest and continue as a successful breastfeeding, we need to remember that we need to establish this hormonal reflex as early as possible. This is like a switch. If you do not switch it on earliest, you are not going to have the breastfeeding successful. So we need to prevent the prelactal feeds, and we need to start as early as possible with breastfeeding. So once we start breastfeeding the child, we need to tell mom that it should be on demand feed, because babies regulate the breast milk production as well as breast milk type also. These are some of the new researches which are coming up. We will be discussing those things in the later part, but for here we need to remember that it should be on demand feed, because the need of the feed varies according to diurnal variation as well as the seasonal variation. Say for example, if there are summer months, the babies might need the feed quite early compared to the winter months, because they need to satiate not only nutritional needs but also the need for the water and electrolytes. So that's why they will be asking for feed in 1 to 1.5 hours or 2 hours maybe in summer months. They might be needing the same feed every 3 or 4 hourly in winter months. So that's why we need to establish a demand feed. Secondly, we do not know which baby is Arjuna or which baby is Bhim. So we need to leave it to baby to decide how much and how many times the baby needs. Second thing, it has to be approximately 2 or 3 hourly. So the mom needs to feed approximately 8 to 10 times a day without any accounting of this particular feeds or how much time she has given those feeds. There should not be any restrictions. If the baby wants more, the mom can continue. But we need to make her understand that she should fulfill first on one breast at a time. Meaning to say she should not suffer across both the breast for 5 minutes in a single cycle, and that would ensure the baby getting both the fore milk and hind milk. We all know that the hind milk is really rich in fat content, and that is going to help out the baby grow. So the mother should always remember that the baby should get both fore milk and hind milk, and for that purpose she should utilize one breast per cycle. That will ensure the baby getting hind milk. There should not be any extra top of water should be given to these particular babies even in summer months, because the breast milk contains 70% water itself. The mom should remember that the hormonal surges of prolactin and oxytocin usually peaks at night time. So the mom who is feeding at night is going to secrete much more throughout the day. So if a mom wants to be a successful breastfeeding mom, she should be feeding every time, even at night, very much enthusiastically. There are some positive factors, there are some negative factors which promote or hinder the breastfeeding. If we look at the positive factors, if the sole important factor we need to remember that there are no drugs in this world, there are no other stimulus in this world which will help the mom secrete more other than the baby. The sight of the baby, the voice of the baby, the smell of the baby, and the feel of the baby are the biggest stimulus for any mom. There are no drugs available in this, neither Ayurvedic nor allopathic, which can change the table and turn around to mom to secrete more, except she is with her baby and she is feeling well. So rooming in, bedding in, and giving adequate rest to these moms will lead to good secretion of breast milk and a successful breastfeeding. More often than not, the grandmoms and the mother-in-laws often tell us that my daughter-in-law or the mother of the baby has not been given food, so she is not likely to secrete more, and hence the baby is supposed to be given top fed. That's absolutely bizarre and wrong conception. The mom usually starts secreting even during the 5th month of pregnancy onwards. So anyone, even delivery on a premature grounds, will have some or the other amount of the milk. So we need to understand that giving good balanced diet is important, but even not eating or on IV fluids for 1 or 2 days might not hamper the breastfeeding initiation. Here the food of the mom need to be really enriched and balanced. Especially we need to remember that she should be given extra 500 kilocalories in energy and protein means, so that she can be doing a good lactation. In the later part of this lecture, we will be also disclosing how the intake of mom changes the ingredients of the breast milk. So food of the mom is really good. Here we need not to take the way that some particular website has mentioned so and so diet, so I'm taking so and so diets. No, our cultural wisdom has to be practiced here. The mom should be given that food only which every family member is taking, and the mom was taking routinely before the pregnancy also. So that same thing, but a good hygienically cooked food at home is really going to make the difference. Reassurance that you are doing good, you are secreting good, and you will be able to successfully breastfeed your child are the magic and wonderful words for these moms. The moment you start talking negative things, the moms are going to lose the desire and drive for breastfeeding. Most often the moms are usually emotionally labile. So a fear of not doing enough for the baby, or might not be secreting enough, or the anxiety of baby getting some disturbance or baby is getting some disease because of other things, might lead to reduction in the breast milk. We all know that the amygdaloid nucleus, which is the center for fear, anxiety, and other negative emotions, is just located beneath the pituitary. So if the amygdaloid is been getting so much of stimulus through these negative emotions, some of these emotions finally pass on to posterior pituitary and suppress the oxytocin and prolactin, which is very much well known, and now the evidences are very much available. So please, please, please let the mom feel relaxed and out of stress. She should be happy. We often tell that let the mom sing a song, let the mom be cheerful and laughing so that she is relaxed and she is going to secrete much more. Remove all the alien type of feeling what she is getting after the receiving of the baby. All the moms in the world always want 110% for their baby. So a little even negative doubt or a negative emotion is going to shake this emotionally labile woman in the hardest part of her life, that is the first few days as a mom, and you will lose all the drive of giving a good growing baby. We should not separate the baby as far as possible unless medically indicated. We should not be giving those medications which might affect the breastfeeding or might be secreted in the breast milk as far as possible. And these are some of the things what we have just discussed. A maternal stress or other factors which are there will ultimately in turn will lead to a vicious cycle, and production of the breast milk will be hampered finally. So even if the mom is secreting well, please continue reassuring. Even if she is not secreting well, try to correct it, but never ever leave her in the stress or anxiety. Try to correct the scientific things, whatever is possible, because even we have seen that the mothers who are secreting well enough, if you start putting the thoughts in her mind that you are not doing well, you are not doing well, and you see on the next day that the mom is not secreting well. So your false belief and your false alarms or your wrong information will become true next day if you keep on bombarding such an emotional labile woman in this stressful part. The most common question which a neonatologist or a pediatrician often faces is, do I have enough milk? The problem here is that this milk secretion is often not measurable, and that's why we are unable to answer that you have enough milk or not enough milk. The answer here are usually subjective and objective. Usually we have seen that many a times, these are the sheets which are from UK, that what a midwife usually uses while attending a breast feeding or lactation call at mother's home. What we can always do is we can ask the mom what was the birth weight of the child. We can show her subjective parameters like the baby's weight has grown, the baby's length has grown, baby's height circumference has grown. So naturally this growth has been a reflection of a good secretion of breast milk and good breastfeeding. Then we can also tell this mom that since the baby is taking every 2 or 3 hourly, the baby is getting satiated and sleeping peacefully after these feeds, she is passing good amount of urine and also passing the stools. So naturally these are again an evidence of a successful breastfeeding. So these are all the things which have been put into a questionnaire form in this particular format, and that's what I have been displaying on screen right now. So the midwife will have to tick all those things, and these are called breastfeeding assessment tools. These are different for different countries, and we can utilize one of them, but ultimately these are subjective or objective parameters which we need to apply to prove our point that mom is secreting adequate or not. The often problems which are ignored, we all know that there is a problem. In a lighter vein, I would like to say that our gynecologists are really good doctors for the organs below umbilicus. Our surgeon friends usually come into picture when the organ is not performing physiologically. But the parents often do not know whom to ask for the physiological functioning breast. And that's the poor pediatrician who has adequate knowledge but never been asked. So when the mom gets mastitis or sore nipples, these are often the reflections of poor technique. We all know that the sore nipple occurs usually secondary to the poor technique of this particular mom, where the attachment of the baby is usually at the nipple level only, and that leads to crack or the injury to the nipple, and the nipples become sore, and mother is often afraid to feed the baby afterwards. The mastitis is often the reflection from this progression of the disease from the sore nipple. If the infection progresses, that will be mastitis, and secondarily, this cellulitis part or component will be converted to abscess, and that is where the surgical help is often needed. Try to prevent all these things. Sore nipple is a simple looking problems, but we need to treat the roots of this sore nipple, and that's the faulty technique of breastfeeding. If we can improve this faulty technique of breastfeeding, we will salvage a baby going from breastfeeding to the dabba milk or the other ways of this. So we need to address all these problems which might lead to failure of breastfeeding. There are some newer developments which have been taking place, and there are science evolving around that. One of the most important study which has brought out the evidence is that breastfeeding adequately will reduce mom's risk for type 2 diabetes after gestational diabetes. This is really important because the study has proven that, since we all know that most often the lactating moms will need a higher calorie and protein for production of milk. So when a mom who had a gestational diabetes, there are chances that this gestational diabetes might continue in future to become a permanent morbidity in form of diabetes type 2. But the study has shown that those who have done adequate breastfeeding, even for first month of life for the baby, they have not turned or reduced the numbers are been observed amongst these moms to develop type 2 diabetes in the later period of life. So always encourage exclusive breastfeeding for the first 6 months of life in all those moms who had gestational diabetes during the pregnancy. Second really good emphasis came from protective against metabolic syndromes in the teen years. In the PNSM, that is preventive and social medicine, that many of our diseases have roots in their infancy. And our problems of the teenage or obesity nowadays is increasing weight, hypertension, diabetes, and many other morbidities which are now existing and commonly getting found in the teenage years. So these metabolic together is known as metabolic syndrome, and it has been tracked back to the infancy that those infants who have been fed well in the first 6 months of life by breast milk are getting less and less metabolic syndrome in their teen life. So we need to remember that breastfeeding protects these things also. It has been seen that breastfeeding is also protective against overweight gain in babies who tend to gain weight much higher speedily in first few months of life. We all know that usually it is 15 to 30 grams per kg per day, the growth rate usually in these babies. But few babies who are on formula tend to overgrow even to 50 grams a day. And since you are getting this increased amount of weight gain, you are likely to deposit a lot of fat in the earlier phase of life, and this will be tracked back to the adiposity and the hypertension and hypercholesterolemia and other problems in the later phase of the life. And even ischemic disease and strokes have been tracked back to these overweight babies of the first few months of life. So naturally, if you are breastfeeding these babies, you are likely to get all these problems less. So breastfeeding is in a way really a bliss. Then there are also some of the very interesting findings came up. see this paper which was been published recently, and it says that mom's diet may influence her baby's intestinal microbial flora. This was really interesting paper, and they have researched on many moms based upon their diet, in which whatever the polysaccharide form they utilize or whatever they take, the changes observed in the baby's colonal flora. And the research found that those who are remaining with their traditional diet and culturally accepted diet, the floral part has remained steady over the years, while changing or abruptness in the diet of the mom lead to some pathological flora upcoming even in these babies. So this was one of the remarkable study. Then it was really one of the significant finding which was been observed, that moms who are fond of drinking these colas or carbonated waters or some energy drinks like which are having really high calories, sugars in them and fructose in them. So if a mom drinks such a high calorie energy drink, their breast milk after the drink of 6 hours after the drink tend to show a high amount of fructose. So if a mom gets a fruity, the baby gets a fruity. So ultimately, if you are giving the mom to take a higher sugar beverage, the breast milk will have higher sugar in that in terms of fructose, which has been seen in this study. So our age-old wisdom that mom's diet might reflect in breast milk secretions or the breast milk composition is now gradually getting evidence, though it is very, very complex phenomenon, because what moms eat, then what their body get out of this as a bioavailable things, and then what their breast secrete, and then that milk which goes to the baby's intestine, out of which what baby gets out of it and what is reflected is a very complex phenomenon. So we need more research on this. But right now, gradually, slowly and slowly, we are getting some or the other evidence fitting into our age-old wisdom of mom eating something, and that is getting reflected into breast milk composition. Another important study which looked at the essentiality of the, what we can say, exclusive breastfeeding for first 6 months of life. They studied specifically in terms of these different substances which are available. Most of them are vitamin or trace elements. So they found two groups, group A and group B. When the mother were supplemented with group A ingredients, these ingredients concentration in breast milk composition increased. Meaning, if you supplement the mom with vitamin, thiamine, riboflavin, or B6, B12, the composition of the breast milk also showed the rise in such ingredients. Whereas group B, which comprises of calcium, folate, iron, copper, zinc, and vitamin K, did not show rise or fall in this particular group. So the lesson out of it is, though it is a very complex phenomenon and it takes a lot of factors to interplay in between, the thing which emerged out of it, that the supplementation of mom for certain drugs might help to some extent in certain vitamins and trace elements, but we need to still supplement the babies for the other one which do not rise by supplementing mom. So naturally that has been seen by all of us when we supplement calcium or we supplement iron and folic acid, or we need to supplement vitamin K. So that's what has been this study reflecting. The next important area where the mom usually gets back to work after the maternity really need to be addressed, because most of the breastfeeding failure occur during these hours or during this period. So we need to address this specifically. Up till now, after 1961, where the Act of Maternity Leave Benefit was been passed, the females were being given 12 weeks of leaves as a maternity package, 6 weeks before the delivery, 6 weeks after the delivery. So naturally up till now, even in private sector, forget the government sector, even in private sector, this is applicable, especially when the unit or particular firm or the particular industry or organization is having 10 or more employee, this particular act is applied onto them. Thanks to our government that in 2017, there was an amendment passed over it. And from the 12 weeks, now it has been extended to 26 weeks, meaning to say roughly around 4.5 months of maternity leave. These leaves are usually paid leaves, so they do not have a deduction in the salary. And add to this, there are amendment of this particular thing that mother can even ask for or draw 6,000 rupees per month from the employee also. I'm sorry, 6,000 rupees for that maternity leaves only. After the finishing of the paid leaves, she can extend her leaves for 6 months and based upon the mutual agreement with the employer. There should be a crash facility in a 50 employee unit so that mother can visit the baby, and the employer has to allow at least 4 times during the work period to mom for breastfeeding the child in this crash facility. Nowadays, as we all know that most of us are working from home, so even such breastfeeding moms can be allowed by mutual understanding to work from the home for longer period of time so that they can sustain their exclusive breastfeeding for this earlier phase of life. The Germany is the country who really puts maternity, as they give even the paid holidays for 1.5 years. 18 months. So Germany is highest paying maternity leave throughout the world. The other countries have different things. The key here is that we need to support these moms in this phase, simply because women are progressing in every field of life now, and they are sharing all the platforms with males equally. So if we want the productivity of our female partners, we need to support in this critical phase of life of there. Expression of breast milk. I think most of us know this, so I skip this particular thing. Expression of breast milk really helps to all those working moms, because if they can express out and store those expressed milk, this milk can be given to the baby in the absence of mother at home by some adult person in the home. This expressed breast milk can be stored for different period of time in room temperature, usually where it is considered to be less than 26 degree. Most of our country usually temperate climate, so these temperatures might be higher. So we might be getting somewhere around 2 to 4 hours in our country. So the best way is to keep this particular thing near to the where our water sources are, so that we can keep it a little cool in those houses, even where the refrigerator is not there. If you have refrigerator, there are different things available. If you keep it in the lower compartments with the fruits and vegetables and other, you can keep it for 1 or 2 days maximum. If you keep it at less than 4 degrees centigrade, it can be stored for 2 weeks. If you keep it in freezer at -4 degrees centigrade, you can store it for months. The most important thing here, we need to remember that when the mom rejoins the job, the expressed breast milk is really important, and she can always express when she is not feeding the baby and keep it stored at the refrigerator. When in her absence, the other person will feed the baby mother's own milk for that first 6 months of life and even beyond. And we need to remember that the milk which is stored in the refrigerator need to be brought to room temperature, and that can be done just by keeping the milk in the room isolated without boiling or warming that thing. on its own, it comes to a room temperature, and then we can use this milk for the baby's feeding. One of the very good option we need to grab with both the hands is a possible human milk bank in our area. This will not only ensure that the babies get their own mom's milk, but it will ensure for those who are unable to get their own mom's milk by various reasons. I'm very happy that Surat is pioneer in the human milk banking, and really some stalwarts are working on this in Surat. So hats off to them. This is one of the snapshot from the article which was been published in Indian Pediatrics in 2014, which served the guidelines for everyone to establish the human milk banking. The basic idea is to get the donor selection. Once the donor is selected, the milk is pre-tested. Then the pasteurization is done. Milk is post-tested. After pasteurization, the milk which does not qualify by means of having organisms or by means of other things, which is not likely to be usable for infant feeding, are discarded, and gradually the milk which is remaining is being utilized by various NICUs and various babies, and that can be distributed. So this is of a real immense help to all the babies for their growth and development, because they are fed on human milk. And often we have seen that many mothers who are secreting good from day one might not be able to feed their child because their baby was there in the NICU for some period of time and all those things. So those moms should not lose the drive of expression. And that is possible if we can help these moms to express, and their milk will be stored at, or they can donate it for the breast milk bank. That will serve the purpose for these moms. The breast milk bank is also essential because nowadays breast milk market is booming online. There are breast milk selling groups available on Facebooks, on Twitters, on various websites. Here you can see one of the snapshots of such a website which is selling it online. Here the woman who is secreting might sell it online. They do not take care of much testing. They do not fulfill all the criteria which are supposed to be for before granting such milk to some other person. So we are not getting adequate milk or the adequate quality milk, and this milk which has been purchased online by people considering that they might be doing good for their babies might actually end up doing harm for their babies. So we need to establish more and more government recognized or even NGO recognized good quality human milk bank to avoid all such nuisances and the commercialization of breast milk. Because nowadays we are seeing that people have realized the importance of breast milk, but when the situation is such that it is not possible for them to give breast milk to their baby, they tend to purchase it commercially. So let's stop all these things and establish more and more breast milk bank. This is one of the figure which I was very surprised to see. This is a sale of baby formulas or the infant milk substitutes. The top graph which is there going ascending is from China. And the lower one, which is nearly steady, though increasing, is from India. So China's sale of infant formulas is increasing almost exponentially. India is stable, but it is still, in comparison to 2008, we are selling it too much. Almost with the birth of a baby, a dabba or a tin of this infant milk substitute is sold. This not only impairs and creates issue for the economy of India, but it really affects the growth and development of the baby itself. The question arises that we are copying West in many aspects. UK, US have much more higher sale of formulas. Fortunately, we do not have that high sale of the formulas. Why is it so? That's simply because of one law which has been quite strictly observed in our country, and that's Infant Milk Substitute Act. This act was initially been sanctioned in 1992, and then amendment was brought in 2003. This prevents many things from getting the promotions of these infant milk substitutes in open public or meeting of such persons to moms, or selling the baby food with the attractive advertisements and many things. So that ensures that our babies get their right, and that is the breastfeeding and breast milk, and not the infant milk substitute by various commercial commercial tricks of the trade. So ultimately, we are ensuring that Infant Milk Substitute Act should act, and it should prevent the sale of the commercially available infant milk substitutes as far as possible by means of ethically only. Then let us have a word on current pandemic and breastfeeding. It has been very well seen and very well discussed and very well evidenced now that a mom who is there in the pandemic zone, who might be affected or not affected, in both the situations, she can breastfeed. The breast milk up till now has not been proven to have virus, even though mom is found to be COVID positive. So breast milk getting virus transfer from mother to baby is very, very unlikely. However, more research is required on this area, but still we can recommend breastfeeding to all these newly moms in COVID affected areas and zones, simply because the benefits of the breast milk and breastfeeding are much more higher, and they propose much more problems if not breastfed well. So even a COVID positive mother can safely breastfeed the baby by just taking good care of the respiratory etiquettes, wearing mask, and doing a good hand hygiene. So if a mom is wise enough to practice all these things, she can easily keep the baby within her room only, though it may be 6 feet away from her bed initially, and frequently breastfeeding by using all these techniques and tricks. A very good study was published in Lancet in 2016, and this crux of this study was that invest in breastfeeding if you are a developing world, and invest in breastfeeding if you are a developing country like India, because what you get in return is immense. If you invest 1 rupee on breastfeeding, then you are going to get at least 35 to 40 rupees in return. So that's the best possible investment scheme right now for India. So the Lancet said that it will reduce almost 13% of our under 5 mortality, for which we are struggling so much badly to improve our vital statistics in various data and surveys. So 156,000 children can be salvaged. Lots of episodes of diarrhea, pneumonia can be reduced. Moms can be saved because there will be less breast cancer. There will be a lot of benefit to Indian economy in terms of this. In 2016, they imagined that it could be 4,300 crores of Indian economy. That means that we might have so much of benefit, and our budgets will be much more than spent on the infrastructure development rather than treating the health side or the health sector. And to above all, we will be having 3 points of IQ rise. Rich or poor baby, they will be having a high IQ. So these are all the benefits which Lancet said in 2016 remains true even today, that we need to work upon this. So what is the way forward? What should we do to achieve all these things? Number one, and the most important, is to my belief, is education, education, and education. If you don't know something, you are not likely to perform. So we need to educate it right from our school days, college days, and even before the delivery, during the pregnancy, by means of pregnancy or antenatal classes also, we need to teach the mother regarding the newborn care and the most essential part of it being breastfeeding. The second most important thing is antenatal counseling, that they are going to have a baby, they are going to have breastfeeding after that. This should be made very clear, because when we say that mom who will do breastfeeding, mom is very much enthusiastic and happy. But the problem occurs is that when the delivery occurs, either by cesarean or by means of normal delivery, the mom ultimately will have to be rested on bed. So the mom is the most inactive participant in first 2 days usually, and that's why the breastfeeding is a little difficult if you do not let it be consented by whole family and supported wholeheartedly by total family. Postnatal counseling is also important. Even if you have forgotten to do antenatal counseling, please help these moms in your postnatal wards, and they will be doing wonderful things in salvaging such newborn lives for you. Lactational assistance is the most important thing. Unfortunately, we do not have such people practicing even in the private sectors. We would like to have much more peons. We would like to have security. We would like to have some other things in manpower, but we do not have a single nurse looking exclusively for lactation, even though we have 20 babies admitted with us. So that's the need of the hour. And lactational assistant, even between 2 or 3 hospitals, also serve the purpose. But there should be such dedicated and purely looking to one point exclusively is needed. Excuse me. Lactational consultants, these are also somebody we need to look up. As we have discussed that often people do not know when and whom to approach. They often approach gynecologists who are usually busy enough not to guide adequately on this particular area. Pediatricians with busy OPD might not taking this seriously. So, and surgeons ultimately find themselves to cut something when there is pathologically damaged. So we need lactational consultants specifically to address all this area. Even a one consultant or 2 consultants per a metro city or a town would suffice the need, because they need to see only problems. The most routine works will be carried out by lactational assistants. Lactational support group has to be there. These are means of common or lay people who will support each other by assisting or praising or reassuring that the mom is doing well, sharing their own experience. This might be online, this might be offline, but we need to support the breastfeeding. We need to more and more implement and practice the maternity benefits to ensure that the moms do have exclusive breastfeeding for first 6 months of life, and they do not lose this advantage just because they have to rejoin the jobs. So we need to ensure this specifically in the private sectors. Right now, the government sector is really well doing it very well, and they are performing well. But in private sectors, most of these benefits are often overlooked and not passed on very well to the woman. Lastly, we need to respect and always look at IMS Act very wisely, and we need law firming agencies in performing their duties by providing them informants of undue works and undue commercialization of this, and strengthen the drive for breastfeeding and support them. Short, about breastfeeding instinct of humans support slogan was for a healthier planet, where they are looking for specifically the carbon footprint need to be understood, that if breastfeeding by breastfeeding only, then the baby is going to have it in the most organic possible way without you. Infant milk substitute will be a powder which is produced at some place by using that has been shifted or transported by the end user. There is print of an infant milk substitute feeding. That's why if we support breastfeeding, we are going to support our environment, our mother nature or earth wisely, if we are going to for healthier planet in the by WABA. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maulik bhai. It was great, very nice lecture. We are really thankful for to you.